I'm Priya Padhyay. I'll be the host for this evening's webinar. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this year-end edition of the Women Everyday series by SheWork. So this platform was created to bring leaders, thinkers, and builders together for conversations that matter. And yes, today's session holds a special place in that journey. Our theme today is diversity by design and how modern organizations build high trust cultures. And so it's a topic that is shaping the future of work, people, leadership, and performance across industries. So thank you all for joining us. And we are so excited to have a full house for this session, a full house of amazing panelists. Our first speaker for the day is Ms. Shivani Nath, founder of Metanoia and an accomplished CHRO. Shivani brings over 20 years of experience shaping high performance cultures across global firms such as HSBC, Standard Chartered, JP Morgan, and Star India. Her work spans workforce strategy, leadership development, and organization wide transformations. So, today, through Metanoia Business Solutions and Swar AI, she partners with companies to redesign people's strategy with clarity and long-term thinking. So, Shivani, welcome you from SheWork, and it's such an honor to have you here with us. Thank you, Shivani. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you, Priya, and team SheWorks. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you very much. So next up, we have Mr. Arun Paul, the head of HR and operations for APAC and at Orion Innovation. So Arun brings 22 years of experience across banking, capital markets, insurance, consulting, FMCG, and IT. So he has built and led people and culture strategies that support business growth diverse across diverse multi-geography terms. So his experience covers HR, technology, analytics, organization development, and total rewards, making him a strong voice in this discussion today for sure. So thank you, Arun. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Hope we
Glad to
have
be here.
a wonderful discussion. Thank you very much. Next up, we have our third panelist, Ms. Rizwana Sheikh, the CHRO at Acme Group.
Hello. Hi, all
Rizwana,
of you.
hello, Rizwana. Rizwana is known for combining strategic thinking with a strong people focus. So her work spans digital transformation, leadership development, talent strategy, and executive advisory. So she has played a key role in building future-ready teams while working closely with leadership to drive meaningful transformation. So her insights on culture building and inclusion are so powerful, and we are so glad we cannot explain to have her here with us. So thank you, Rizwana. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure
Thank you,
to, it's an
Priya.
honor to have
Thank you
you.
for the introduction.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have the director of people at Growth Arc, Ms. Surabhi Gupta. Surabhi is a seasoned HR and a TA leader with 14 years of experience across global enterprises and high growth tech companies. Surabhi is known for designing structured, transparent, and people first HR systems that balance business outcomes with employee experience. Her career includes leadership roles at some of the well known companies like Wipro, Capgemini, Genpact, and Quero, and now Growth Arc, where she continues to build high performing people practices. Surabhi, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining this conversation this evening. We at SheWork are indebted to meet you all. We are so happy that we have such an amazing lineup for this evening conversation. So, thank you, speakers, for being here. I'm sure we have a powerful panel for all the audience. Welcome. We have a powerful panel and an equally powerful topic for the day. So, let's quickly get straight into the discussion and begin our first question for the day. Uh, uh, Let me begin with a micro view of where India stands today. Women's labor force participation has reached 41.7%, but leadership representation still sit at rough 7 to 10%. So this gap reveals that presence is increasing, but power is not shifting at the same pace. So the first question probably I would love to go and ask this to Rizwana probably. So,
Mhm.
Rizwana, would you like to say India's female labor force participation has risen to 41.7%, yet women occupy only 7 to 10% from leadership roles. So, from a leadership viewpoint, what are the structural shifts needed to close this gap?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, Shiva, for this initiative and for inviting me for such a good, diverse panel. I mean, such a wonderful question. Thank you for this question. I feel the participation is more important. Nowadays, females are only not designated base, but they have a equal participation, and we need more participation from the females. Not only on like the slogans and boards look nice. If somebody says, okay, women empowering and diversity and all that, it sounds very good. But then when it's really practically, we really go for action. That time, I see very few females coming ahead. So there are certain
Mhm.
constraint, I believe. I mean, see, if you have a support, like for me, if you talk about me, I have a back support from my family. That's the reason I'm here. If I'm going for an event or I'm a speaker at late night events and all that, or early morning, because I have a back support from my family. So the support is required. So if you want to increase the diversity and if you want females to work upfrontly in front line, you need to have a support, back support from home as well as from office. Even from
True.
office, the leadership requires a lot of time and energy. So
Mhm,
if you are
mhm.
totally
Correct.
exhausted at home, you cannot give your 100% at work. So I
True.
feel, yeah, the support system should be there. I'm here because I have a full support from my family, my husband, my in-laws, my parents, everybody. So
Great.
I believe that participation is required. Secondly, a fear which females has to be. I mean, there are. I mean, of course, now the world has changed. We are in AI and digitalization world. So female are not just restricted to home, but still, if you go, I mean, if you talk about, I mean, if I'm a graduate and my brother is also graduate, the mindset of a people is okay. You have to study after graduation. You have to do certain courses and then hit to the
Mhm.
the flow like job. Okay,
Correct.
and for female, it's like okay after she completes the education, probably we can see a boy for her or probably make her.
Perspective. Yes.
Yeah, the father will say like, okay, fine, make her let her go in kitchen and understand something, the cooking and all that stuff. So the mindset shift is also required. We need to shift
True.
our mindset that females are not only meant to do the housework, but they are meant to do other works as well. So that's
Great.
how I.
Great. Great. On that note, having Mr. Paul here as the sole male ally among the panelists here. So, Mr. Arun, I would love to ask you how important it is for a woman to keep her support system informed about this whole situation. How important it is for a woman to actually come up with the proper justification, telling, you know what, these are my dreams, and this is how you can pitch in.
Okay, first of all, thanks for keeping me as the only male member in the panel, and I get all the attention from. I mean, we
Oh,
still crave for attention, right? Okay, but
trying
coming
to
to the
grab a
question,
lot of positivity from you from there.
all right. So, good evening, everyone. So, let me try to give my perspective. And this is my perspective. I may not be absolutely right, but I've seen my mother, my wife, my daughters, and so many colleagues working, all of them. I mean, other than my
Great.
daughters. Working, so we've seen all this up and close, and that's where my perspectives come from. So we are in 2025, and I think the debate has to move on slightly. Uh, while preparing for this session, I asked a couple of Gen Zs who are trainees in my organization, what does this mean to you? So they came and said that, boss, please don't even talk about this to me. I mean, we don't even want to be considered as another woman in the workforce. They want to be considered as just another guy in the sense, just another person, you know?
Yes.
There is no differentiation that exists in today's workforce at all in their mind. It is in our mind we are still probably trying to stretch the older baggage into the new workforce. So that is one paradigm shift that we want to really make. And this is something that came from my 23-year-old trainee who has joined and doing exceptionally well. Coming to, so that's one point I want to make before coming to the question that you specifically asked, Priya, on support system. That is an yes for everything. Men also need support. Women also need support. There is no difference. If men doesn't have support, will they be able to grow? Absolutely no. But the point that we have to make, at least from an Indian context, is uh, I personally see all these things in my family as well as at work. A woman has to actually do probably two times more, or at least, uh, across personal as well as professional life to be successful everywhere. So that's one area that Rizwana rightly pointed out, that there is more effort required for women to be called, successful
True.
everywhere. Family,
True.
as a daughter, daughter-in-law, probably, wife, a good worker, manager, all that. So multiple roles, and our context in Indian, which is changing fast, which I'm glad to understand. Uh, Men don't have to then focus a lot more on professional and probably take it a little easy at work, which is changing, at home, which is changing. So that's one thing. So support system is essential, and support system it has to be created consciously to allow both men and women to thrive. At the same time, anything which is only done for certain things will not sustain long term. It has to be part of the culture of the organization or the workplace, and it has to be woven in as part of the natural process where both can profit from. But at the same
Correct.
time, a couple of points like we all call mentorship, and it's very important to have those kind of, I would change from mentorship to sponsorship. Identify every leader, irrespective of men or women. They have the duty to identify budding talent, uh,
True. True.
both
Very true.
both men and women, okay, budding talent, and they should be subject to some kind of a score in terms of how many mentees are you sponsoring, or for lack of a better word, I'm using mentee. How many people are you sponsoring? So I am actually sponsoring at least 6 or 7 people, and probably 3 or 4 of them are, women. Gender is not a criteria.
Correct.
Talent is the
Correct.
criteria. Performance is the criteria. But when you look at the workforce coming in, and I come from a state where women are the majority, by the way. We are, I mean, men are minority in Kerala. So we get, when we hire from campuses, we get 60% women and 40%
Great,
males.
great. That's amazing to hear. So actually you were throwing light on our She Works, the core vision, which says diversity first, talent-led hiring. So thank you very much, Mr. Arun, for the same. And I think Surbi, I'm going to come up with the next question to you about this question. It was about advancement, access, and equitable pathways to leadership for the women. So we are also seeing that strong momentum on the hiring front. So diversity hiring in India is rising to 24 to 33% annually, which signals an intention to change. But intention isn't enough unless it shapes behavior on the inside. So how can leaders ensure this growth translate into high trust performance cultures instead of surface level representation? Surabhi, would you like to take it up?
Absolutely. So, firstly, I'm elated to be here. Thanks for giving the platform to express what our thoughts are about diversity, hiring, talent altogether. And I think over the past few years, I've seen something very clearly. Diversity is no longer a good to have agenda, right? It's become a design choice for modern organizations. And as people leader, diversity on its own doesn't create magic. People perform better when they trust the environment, they trust their managers, and trust that their voice actually matters. So diversity is about who's in the room, but trust is about who feels safe to speak. And coming to hiring, I think hiring is, I'd say, easier part of the process, because we've been talking about diversity from a very long period of time, and I think organizations, leaders now are aware, and everyone has metrics to chase diversity, but I think what's more important is to make sure that it's just not another checkbox. The minute your hiring becomes a checkbox, then you hire diverse talent, but they leave quickly. They don't get promoted. They're not on your key projects. They don't have a seat on the table. And they are no longer having access to tables where decisions are being made. So I think that's very important. We need to solve the problem at the root level, grassroots level, where diversity is not seen as something special. Of course, it should be seen as something which should be driven consciously and every day. Diversity is not something where I want to showcase my targets at an annual on an annual basis, and therefore I say that okay, I am 25%. I'm at sitting at 25% hiring metric, but it is about creating avenues consciously as HR leaders, as business leaders, as managers to make sure that every decision that you make on a day-to-day basis should be bias free. We should look at talent irrespective of the gender, like Arun said, Rizwana mentioned. I think these are the very, very small behavioral level changes which need to be inculcated. Hiring is the easiest. Today we go to campus, we want to hire 40% females, we do that. But have we created avenues where we are able to support them in the longer run? Why females drop out after 2 to 3 years of pursuing their career? I think that's a question all the leaders in the room need to really sit and think.
Correct.
And I think COVID has helped us shape that beautifully. Prior to COVID, there were a lot more female, and I hate this term, by the way, female leaders. A leader is a leader, whether it's a female or a male. I think leaders need to make sure that there are enough avenues created, there is a safe work environment created, and your policies reflect that, and not just your policies, but your behaviors on the ground. Your managers understand and implement those policies, not just have it on paper and make it easy for everyone to say that okay, we are hiring diversity. So that's my take on your answer question.
True, true. That's great insights. I think yes, hiring brings people in, but culture is what makes them stay. I think so. Yes. So I would definitely say, like, which goes true to the topic today. Trust is definitely a real differentiator, like how you mentioned. So also, I would like to say here that many organizations want to scale diversity very fast, but that's when the danger begins. It becomes a metric and definitely not a mindset. So when diversity becomes a compliance exercise, trust usually declines. Like as leaders, what indicators tell you that diversity efforts are slipping into checkbox that is made? So Shivani, would you please take that question for us?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for giving me this platform, and good evening, everyone. So, if typically in any organization, like how Surabhi pointed out, uh, particularly when we're talking about gender diversity, life stage has a huge impact on women participating in the workforce. Likewise, any underrepresented groups, which you're kind of trying to bring them into your workforce, the real case for diversity is that your customers at the end of the day, right, who you are serving, or the communities that you are serving, your workforce truly needs to be representative of that community or the customer base that you're serving. That's how you will make the real decisions which are in the benefit of the business in which you're operating, and also will be able to serve your communities better. Now, if this is the case for diversity, then the moment you're talking about the matrix that one need to watch for, is that these diverse groups that you're hiring for, are you able to, beyond just hiring, because hiring, which again in itself is a huge exercise, beyond hiring a truly representative workforce, are you truly able to empower them and grow them through your leadership and the talent management programs, so that you're building talent pipelines? Are you how are your attrition scores doing on your diverse demographics, right? So whether it's gender or disability or age or whatever diverse group. So if you're an MNC, you could be seeing how how are your community is being reflected, right, in your workforce? How are your geographies being represented? So it doesn't matter, what kind of diversity you are tracking, but your attrition is will be a huge indicator. How are you engaging these people who you're hiring to give them those
True.
promotion opportunities? That's a huge indicator again. So that's, in my mind, that's something that you should watch out for.
Great, great. I think these are the early signals that matter. I like how you rightly pointed out. So it's whether diversity or it's lived daily, it's just performed publicly, which we just see in an everyday basis. So coming to the next question, I would like to ask it to Rizwana probably. So yeah, PW participation remains between 0 to 5% and 5% in India. So which is painfully low. The policies do exist, but the impact is not so consistent. So, what leadership actions have you seen truly change inclusion outcomes with unprecedented groups beyond policy updates? Rizwana, would you like to take it? I think we lost Rizwana there for some technical problem. So, yes, Surabhi, would you like to answer that?
Sure. Um, I think what leadership actions, truly need to change is access and advocacy,
Mhm.
and it's just not in
Mhm.
of PWD, but I'm going to talk this in regard to or in context of diversity in general. And diversity is not just male female, by the way, right? I think
True.
today, as truly
Correct.
global organizations, we need to be very very sensitive of people coming in with different backgrounds, language, gender,
Mhm.
special abilities, all of this. And how can this really get, how can this sort of get into outcomes is access and advocacy. And access and advocacy in the sense that, like Arun mentioned, sponsorships are important. Now, sponsorships are
True.
not just, real sponsorships are basically not just having a mentor assigned. I think that's the easiest way to do. Many organizations have been practicing mentorship since long, but we really
Correct.
need leaders to open doors, and open doors in real sense where we're willing to invest on such diversity, right? We're willing to give them opportunities where there is real visibility and reward talent. Right now, I've been a part of certain companies in the past where they've been huge advocates of diversity, and you'll see a lot of, and I'll come to female leadership. So you'll see a lot of female leadership, but sometimes when it becomes a checkbox and you see a lot of female leadership but not backed by talent, that eventually leads, in the longer run, it leads to questioning diversity. And I think that's where, short-sightedness sort of destroys the whole effort of advocating diversity and talent. So I think, some of these things where we want to grow talent, we want to support them in the way that they're not just defined by diversity, but they're defined by talent, and diversity is achieved in parallel. Those are the real outcomes, and that is the only way when organizations can really thrive and succeed, instead of, again, stating numbers or showcasing a certain initiative for the sake of diversity.
True, true. That's great insight. So it's yeah, like how you said, real inclusion. You meant that it's built through behavior and not through paperwork, is what I may understand from this. So, Mr. Paul, what are your thoughts about it?
I think extremely well articulated by Surbi, and I completely support that. Um, so, at Orion, see, while theoretically we can speak a lot, right? But what
Mhm.
we do is what I would like to throw light on. So we are engaged with a similar platform which only pipeline uh, women hiring, okay, across levels. We subscribe to that on a monthly basis.
Mhm,
So we
mhm.
have access to talent, okay. And there are certain men and women are, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to speak this, but are wired differently. That's how God has created us, and we should actually kind of respect that. Uh, Men are a little more you know, this bias that we always talk about, subconscious, conscious, all those biases, I think that existed. There is certain conditioning that women go through, and many of them, if they see that they have not exactly done something, they will not even apply for that job, wherein man will actually say, okay, let me try, and then we'll try that. So women are more black and white, more clear in their approach in compared to men. This is a basic psychology difference. So such, when people don't even apply, and what Surabhi was alluding to, access, you know, when people don't even apply, they absolutely are away from that job. So we have tied up with an organization which makes sure that people are put forward for every manager and above position that we hire. So if we have source three profiles, one has to be a woman profile. Then merit takes over. So
Great.
access is one. Second, I would say, is an important part of creating trust inclusivity is affinity groups. People like to be cohesive together, and this is irrespective of men, women, children, all of that, right? All of us would like to be part of something together. Yeah. So
Yes, building
important
our
to
own
create.
tribe there.
Absolutely important to have a thriving network of affinity groups. And I mean, sorry to say this, but March 8th is a nice day, which all we all like. But many organizations, as we come closer to March 8th, is when everything is up and bouncy and all that. I don't believe in that. We need to create, for example, our network is led by the general manager of Serbia. Okay, our Serbia operations general manager, Vezana, is the chairperson for our women's network, and it has program every month. When you look at, so we need to create this affinity group, and in our company, it is called My Own, MYOWN, Orion Women's Network. So, and when you have role models at general manager level, and SVP level, EVP level, then people aspire to be like that. And then what Silpi was alluding to, mentoring, sponsorship, naturally takes shape. And if men, women at leader level are not having mentees, then that should be questioned to them. Last but not the
Correct.
least, it's not fix the women kind of a stuff that we need to engage with. It's more like fix the system kind of a thing. Men need to be aware what need to be spoken and not spoken. I mean, I'll tell my example.
Yes.
15 years back, when I was traveling to New York, we were cutting a cake, and so I randomly remarked, okay, now you please, you can cut and serve the cake. I mean, the lady said, why don't you do that? So I was like shocked. So these are things that this conscious bias, so I need to, I mean, that's the conditioning there, and nothing wrong. I never thought like that way. But we need to be educated. Men need to be educated first so that the place become more inclusive. So
Correct.
male
On that
and
note of being educated, and sorry to cut you there, Mr. Paul. So, on that note of being organized and educating the people, so how important it is to have an organized system, like how you rightly mentioned. Let's quickly get into our next question, which is about the recent Indigo mishap. The Indigo pilot crisis recently brought issues of trust and leave policy managerial like response into spotlight. So it reminded that it reminded India that policy manuals don't just always match the real experiences. Many people, how many flights got cancelled? So the recent Indigo pilot crisis, talking about these trust issues and leave policies and the managerial mishaps, what does this incident reveal about the gap between the policy design and the employee sentiment? I would like to ask this question to Ms. Shivani, if you would like to take this.
Yeah, sure. See, if there is an operational collapse or a crisis, uh, it is at the end of the day. it means that, somewhere the organization has failed to build a high performance and a high trust culture. And here in case of Indigo, there was an excessive workload, right? And there was fatigue. And in terms of the whole feedback which was going from the employees to the management, there was no action being taken. They were not. Nobody felt heard. In fact, if I may say so, there was a bit of an arrogance on part of the management, and they were not addressing it at all. At the end of the day, it's the people who are going to build the organization. You cannot just celebrate success in terms of your market share alone, right? It is also about how your employees are getting equipped to handle the growth story that you're trying to build there. So I think that led to a trust
True,
deficit,
true.
and it's important that you don't let that trust deficit happen through open and transparent communication, which becomes so important. And especially, with the technology, with the pace of the growth that we are seeing in the organizations, the organizations are being ambitious. But if you're ignoring the human element of it, as far as employees are concerned, you will see these situations. I think it's a lesson for the corporates to ensure that employees' concerns are really, really taken care of.
Correct. So true. I think it showed that the policies, it's not just the policies, it's the people who build trust. And yes, this perspective definitely highlighted something definitely critical that way. And especially cities like Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad, these have become the magnet of, we're talking about the talent acquisition again. Tier 1 cities like Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad have become a hub for all these diverse talent. But I think somewhere around the corner, leadership mindsets vary across multiple markets. So, yes, does India need a diversity push? If yes, how are we? How are you as leaders seeing this leadership behavior differ across mature versus some emerging markets? So, can I ask Ms. Rizwana to please take this question? Rizwana, I think you're on mute. Could you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, leadership actually getting emerging in like hubs like Hyderabad and Bangalore. I agree. It's mainly because the outcome oriented. They are very outcome oriented, and they're very data driven. So there are a lot of IT hubs and all are coming up in Bangalore and Hyderabad, and they're very comfortable with distributing decisions. So if you have a culture like where everybody is participating, or everybody's decision is matter, and the outcome they are outcome oriented and not the only the way you said that indigo incidents. It's like only policies on the paper. They are not implemented. There is no empathy. So then the situations like this, what Indigo has faced, arrives. So, as per me, the emerging hubs like leading often focus more on building the what we call stability in the organization, hands-on coaching. There needs a lot of coaching to have a hub like Hyderabad and Bangalore and all, and the maturity and culture shaping. You need to shape the culture. I mean, that culture comes from the leader. It's like a walking the talk. There are many talks happens in the industry. People talks a lot, and it's good to hear, but when it comes like implementing, we don't implement them. So I think so we should walk the talk, and we should implement such an environment and culture in the organization that it becomes a hub.
Yes, thank you, Rizwan. I would love to say that's an amazing perspective. So I would like to say that yes, geography. I think also geography, the geographical location clearly influences leadership maturity. Do you think so? But yes, like how you cleared out selling, no mindset offers often matters more than the market. So I think that's what we as audiences want to know, need to know about it from leaders like you. Thank you very much. On that note, let's quickly go into the next question, which is like globally we are watching a pullback here with Meta, Zoom, or IBM and Google, some bigger organization, global organizations like these all these organizations are scaling down DEI targets. So it raises a fundamental question here: can we trust survive without intentionality? So would you like to say that, in your view, can high trust cultures survive without intentional diversity commitments from the leadership? So, Surbi, would you like to take that?
Sure. I don't think so. If leaders don't make inclusion a priority, we end up hiring and promoting people who look like us, walk like us, talk like us. And I think that slowly kills innovation and trust. By the way, a small note on the policy. So, I was creating a policy. We used to give birthday coupons for kids, to all the employees on the employee's birthday for their kid. Sorry, for the kid's birthday, for the employee's kid's birthday, we used to give a coupon. And I realized that with the changing dynamic now in India, right? I mean, look at how dynamics are changing with LGBTQ getting more acceptance, with possibly people not getting married. And as leaders, when we're creating policies, we suddenly cannot entertain only a certain segment or a kind of people. Possibly we need to, and I said, why just kids? Maybe someone is not getting married, they also deserve the right to get a birthday coupon. So shouldn't we get a or give option to choose probably their parents or their partner? So these are small inclusions, like I said in my previous questions as well. It may not be big behavioral changes, it may not be big talks, but very, very small behavioral changes, ability to spot biases, ability to educate people time and again, saying, don't look for people like you, like have the courage to be open minded, and have the courage to look at people with a bigger perspective than what you've seen so far, right? Because while technology is changing, diversity is also changing. And I think
True.
uh, we need to move fast with that change. And that's my view on that. It has to be a conscious effort. It can, if you've not planned it, it will never happen.
Great, great, Surabhi. On that note, I would like to congratulate you because we have got two of our audiences totally appreciating your views over there, Surabhi. Thank you very much. Great insights on diversity, inclusion. Great insights on diversity, Surabhi. Thank you very much, Mr. Anupam and Vaibhav Sinha, for this comments. Please keep them coming. And yes, we have an amazing, interesting, very interesting question here, based on what Surabhi's insights right now. How can organizations ensure diversity is part of everyday decisions and not just policies? That's amazing question, Mr. Saki. Thank you very much.
Well, I think I've already sort of touched upon this question. We can all
Yes,
keep
yes.
creating policies. It needs to be represented in the daily behaviors, and
Mhm.
it has to start in smaller segments. If I
True,
create a
true.
policy and roll it out at the organization level, I cannot expect success overnight. I cannot expect success through one person or one team. So if there is a
Mhm,
certain
mhm.
set of team members who've started a ritual, it can be a stand up and giving everyone equal opportunity to speak. It can be giving equal opportunity for females for now to sort of express what they are feeling, and also giving psychological safety, right? I think that's a big one for me. We're all
Right.
working in a hybrid work culture. Not everyone is present in office to have that kind of confidence to speak up their ideas. So a constant nudge and creating that safety, saying even if you fumble, even if you are, whatever you're expressing goes wrong, it's absolutely okay. And creating that constant communication, saying as an organization we are risk takers, we're okay making mistakes. that real level comfort on a day-to-day basis can definitely
And trust is
encourage
what is
behaviors.
definitely is necessary.
Yes, that can
Yes,
encourage
yes. Thank
behaviors
you
and
very much.
access
Yes.
to
So I
all
think
kind of
yes,
diversity.
trust from the employers is something which is necessary. So what I'm hearing is that trust, I think, like how you mentioned, it weakens quickly when diversity loses its priority at the top. Definitely, very well put, Surbi. Thank you very much for that. So can I please ask Shivani to answer this very interesting question, where I would like to say that larger organizations often lose their intimacy that smaller teams usually naturally have. So scaling trust is definitely is always a leadership change. So large enterprises often see trust diluted as team scale. So what leadership practices have helped you build smaller pockets of high trust teams within some complex structures? So would you like to answer that, please?
Sure. So, the larger organizations, especially if there are geographically dispersed, they people are working in different time zones, or you could be working in a large country. It becomes difficult to, like, how Surbi was just alluding to. You cannot possibly have everybody co-located, and you can't always have physical time with your teams. So the best way to move forward is to ensure that your teams are there's enough empowerment happening downstream, and you are creating hubs where there is enough autonomy, decision making, with these hubs, so that a lot of operational day-to-day decision making is happening. Larger organizations, you would also see a lot of matrix structures, so that you would have functional and geographical, very, very clear decision making, pathways established. So I think it's very important that your lines of communication stay open, upward, downward, backward. You're doing town halls very frequently. You're physically visiting, especially at the leadership level. You are visiting you, so that you are able to hear the grassroots perspective from these diverse teams, because it's a large organization, right? So the heart of uh, this organization, any organization which is very, very large scale, has to have a focus on communication, transparency, and a lot of empowerment. That is how
True.
you can really propel the agenda of the organization forward.
Correct. Circling back to our topic today, I think Shivani definitely said that it reinforces that trust is definitely built locally, even in global structures. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shivani, for that. That was great insights. And yes, we do have some amazing fans of Shivani as well right now. Thank you, Mr. Sachin Mohan Kamble, who says that Shivani is giving up great insights. Thank you very much. So, yes, coming up to the next very interesting question, I would like to say that we all know that the data which says diverse teams solve problems faster and innovate better, but lived examples are far more powerful. So, can you please share a leadership decision or an intervention where diversity directly influenced a business outcome? Mr. Paul, would you like to take that?
Okay. So we are a technology company, run large programs in digital transformation across the globe. So one of the roles that we have really found success with women heading them is program management, project management. I mean, from the again going back to the initial conversation on how we are wired differently, men and women. I think women, by nature, are wired to be brilliant with black and white, clarified communication, very clear in terms of no gray would be allowed. So that is excellent qualities for project program management. They would know three steps. The guys will say, we'll do it. but no have probably no clue. I mean, not saying biased
We
against
fondly
guys.
call it as girl math. I think the girls in the team would agree to this.
I think it's all
Yes.
coming from the whole fundamental premise of being secure first, so that they know every step that they need to take to accomplish that. And that security naturally extends to work. How do I protect my work, my team, my environment, my customer? That naturally comes to a woman than a person, is what my take is. I could be wrong. Okay, this is my personal take. There is no research on this, but so I have personally been working on this, and my wife itself is a program manager. So I looked at her and understood that this is a quality that they can be extended and can be leveraged. So this is something that we have promoted in the company, and with a lot of rich dividends. And by nature, they are brilliant communicators. Now that I don't have any fans in this call, but Shivani and Surbi caught. The communication is way far better, is what I'm thinking. So
They are all
so
equal cheerleaders like you are.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's so that's something that we have leveraged across.
True.
And somebody made this point that it's not just gender diversity, right? It's a diversity across nationalities, across geo. So as a global company, we do projects across Mexico, Europe, US, India, and the more diverse the team is, the more inclusivity naturally happens. Imagine a bachelor's party versus the very it'll be they'll be better behaved, voice will be heard, they will be belong, all those things will have a difference in approach. So I think project which is done project teams which is constructed across geo, across genders, obviously will have more innovation and purpose and all that happening. And we do this every time. We try to put program managers as much as possible, look for some smart, you know what I said.
Great. I think all the women audiences are very, very happy to hear such amazing praises about all the women professionals and the non-professionals too. So I always tell all the women out there that being a homemaker is definitely not something small. It's being a CEO of your own system. So thank you, Mr. Paul, for that wonderful insight. So yes, we do have great applause for you as well. And we have a question for you, that how do you see trust shaping the future of workplaces in the next 3 to 5 years from a woman? Thank you, Ms. Rima. Thanks for this question. Yes, Mr. Paul, would you like to take it up?
Trust, see, I don't think fundamentally anything changes. Trust will have three or four components to it. In my mind, it is already expressed: psychological safety, ability to belong to a particular group. Third would be whether your voice would be heard or not. Uh, and then fourth would be interpersonal relationship that is in that particular group or immediate environment. So these are four building blocks that generate trust, whether we were in 1970s or whether we are in 2030 or beyond. That's fundamental level. But on a
Great.
practical level things change. uh, we are using different tools to express our communication or talk to people. I mean, from emails, no emails to messengers to WhatsApp to Instagram. I mean, we are living in a zero distance kind of a culture, right? So I mean, messages which are, I mean, it can become a conflict in no time. In 30 seconds, one can get into a conflict without understanding the context of a WhatsApp exchange or a Teams exchange. So we need to understand what are the tools that we are using, sensitize people to use those tools very well, yeah, and create the environment which is generating or generating trust. So that's very important. And here again, the principles remains the same. Tools would change. Important is to educate, be sensitive, be aware of what are the changes that's happening in your communication style and tools that we use that very well. I think we can continue to uh, leverage on the 4 or 5 building blocks that I just mentioned. That's how
Great.
I look.
When in conversation about tools, technology, and in contrast to our sensitization being emotionally rich and not forgetting the emotional quotient while working, when we are including those elements in the workplace, we do have one more question, which I would love Shivani to take it up. Thank you, Mr. Sachin Kamble, for this beautiful question. With so many startups and Gen Z workforce, how do HR professionals look at creating a super conducive environment, especially with across of Gen Z, millennials, and boomers? If you might mean, yes. Thank you, Mr. Sachin. Thanks for this beautiful question. That's a very interesting take. I think we have amazing audience over here. Yes, Shivani, please over to you.
I think so. Here we are talking about the diversity of the age cohorts also. So I think it's true. I think we are working at a time where 50% of the workforce today is Gen Z, and then if you look at the leadership, especially in large firms, it's mostly millennials, who are there. But if you look at startups, you have the generation in between, which is kind of taking charge. I think there's no conference that I have attended which they don't talk about the lack of accountability for Gen Zs, right? And how it's very difficult for millennials and maybe even baby boomers to work with the younger generation. But I think what HR needs to do is see how you can put them together, whether it is through reverse mentoring programs, because the new generation, you have to make them understand what strengths each cohort brings, and together how they can help the organization move forward. So I think having cross-functional teams where the perspectives of all age cohorts are taken into view and taken into consideration, while whether it's decision making, whether it's policy design, or whether it's execution. If you take the strengths of your diverse team members, whether it's the younger Gen Z workforce or the old millennials, then the organization can really take the right decisions, which will help with a very, very balanced view of how organization can shape their agenda and deliver on what they're trying to achieve, right? So that is what HR can do. I think whether it's through the performance management systems or the learning programs or the reverse mentoring programs, if you can just bring these diverse work groups together, and you kind of make sure that their aspirations are taken care of, I think they can work together beautifully and really lead the future of work. And I think it could really lead organizations beautifully. So I think that should be the focus.
Great, great. That's amazing. Thank you very much. Yes, cohesiveness and cross-functional team, they work definitely better, and that's such a wonderful thing to do as a leader. That you think this element matters the most. And yes, when technology meets with experience and curiosity, that's where we can see the growth happening. So, as we are coming close to this, the end of this webinar, I would like to just have one last question to all the leaders. Just in one single sentence, if I may be very much greedy, because we have to end this session on time. And yes, as technology accelerates and talent expectations evolve, what must CXOs prioritize to maintain health, maintain stability, trust, and long-term organizational performance? Just one the thing which you always think this is the best practice to do. Just can we have just one single question, one single line answer for from all the leaders down here? So can I please ask Ms. Surbi to give her response first?
Sure. So I think two things, not one word, but I think
Yes, please.
over communication. Over
Mhm.
communication is absolutely important, and Investing in growth and well-being is another one, for me. Not just performance is interim, but having a long-term plan and making sure that everyone's interest is kept in mind while designing any communication, any policies, and being open to diverse strengths instead of diverse weaknesses.
Thank you very much. Assumptions, staying away from assumptions and being mindful, I think, is what you meant. Thank you very much. That's amazing. Mr. Paul, I'm coming back to you on this question.
For me, one sentence would be setting mutual expectations. That's
Okay.
very important. Every workplace is not the same. Every work culture is not the same. So, ability to understand, recognize, and set mutual expectations will help us to sustain whatever we are trying to achieve.
Great. Mutual expectations that builds trust. Coming back to our topic, yes. Thank you very much for the response. So, yes, Shivani, may we please hear from you?
I think as the technology accelerates, it's important to remain a human-centric organization. So whether it's trust, transparency, communication, at the end of the day, it is your people are going to really use the technology and not vice versa. So I would say human centricity is very, very important for organizations.
Yes, definitely. No matter how long and how prolonged way we definitely rely on AI, finally at the end of the day, we have to understand it's man-made. And yes, human intervention and the human the mindset has to definitely change where we don't completely rely on artificial intelligence. Something very natural, something innate, something humane is what finally wins. Thank you very much for that. Yes, as we come to the end of this discussion, I cannot explain how happy I am to be part of this discussion. And we have so many questions more, but so less time. I'm so sorry for all our viewers there. Such amazing questions. And I would, can I take the liberty to tell all our audiences to actually connect with you? And if at all there are any other questions, particularly for the my panelists, please do ask, please do connect and stay in touch with such amazing leadership panelists over here. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. So, as we wrap this session, I want to extend a huge thank to all our panelists, and definitely, I would love to say that your clarity and honesty and the real world perspectives which comes with your experience made this conversation definitely valuable. It's been wonderful having you with us for this edition of the Women Everyday series. So, to everyone, the audience, thank you for spending your evening with us with your amazing, thoughtful questions. Some questions are really worth not missing, but I'm sorry, unfortunately, because of the time crunch, we have to end it here. And yes, before we close, I'm excited to announce our next webinar, which is happening on 19 December with the topic The Skill Collapse Threat, how CXOs can address India's fast widening AI talent gap. It's going to be another strong session like today's, and we definitely look forward to having you there. So, thank you, leaders. Thank you once again to all the audiences of She Works. Stay curious, stay informed, and continue shaping conversation that move the workplace forward. Have a great evening. Please don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms.